Hi, gorgeous soul, and welcome back to Mystic Monday. I hope you are wonderful today. If you're new here, I'm so glad you're here. My name is Ashley. I am an ordained shamanic minister and advanced energy healer. I've been working with empathic souls for over a decade to help them ground into their bodies, hone their spiritual gifts so that they can live amazing lives and do the spiritual work that they came here to do. Welcome to May. This month, we are diving into the stages of awakening to your identity as a healer. Whatever you want to call it, healer, light worker, empath, advanced soul, not better than others, but somebody that really feels that they came to serve humanity. And if you're listening to this, then you came here to serve humanity. It is likely that you felt that weight of service as a young child and that you developed empathy. And I want to go into that really quickly before we go into the awakening to your identity. And this is a part of that. So, children develop empathy when they are in an unstable environment. So, empathy meaning you're reading other people's emotions, you're feeling into other people, you're attuning. Empathy is a feminine gift, not just for women, obviously. We have both feminine and masculine, yin and yang energies within us. The feminine energy and empathy attunes to other people. Now, that's great if you know who you are. If you don't know who you are and you're attuning to other people, you lose yourself. You become codependent. It's called bleeding through into other people where you don't have a defined sense of self. And so you bleed into other people and you become dependent on them. You become dependent on a substance or dependent on a person where they're not even for your highest and greatest good. That they're a lesson, not a soulmate. And that was a huge part of my journey. I had a 7-year addiction to pot. I had a 4-year toxic relationship. And in the middle of that, I woke up to my identity as a healer. So empathy, I believe, is a gift. And it's also an adaptation to an unsafe or unstable environment. We are all sensitive in different ways. I am speaking to the person that is highly sensitive, that feels things deeply, that cries, that has a hard time going into the grocery store, that feels like they're wearing their emotions on their skin. You feel raw. And when I got sober over a decade ago, I felt like I was completely raw. I felt like I was not wearing any clothes in life. And I got to learn how to guard myself energetically and protect myself because I was bleeding through with everybody, hearing things I shouldn't be hearing, seeing things that other people weren't seeing. And this is the chaos of untrained spiritual gifts. So, if you are here to really wield your power and stand in your gifts as an empathic person, as a healer, this is the right channel. Make sure you subscribe and you come back each week because we dive in every week. Every Sunday, I post a new Mystic Monday. So, empathy happens as one, a gift that we have as souls because we are here to attune to the earth. Hey, we're not treating the earth right. I can feel it. So your purpose is born from your depth of feeling. Hey, they're suffering. I'm here to help it. I'm here to help people because you feel them, right? And the other side of empathy is an adaptation to an unsafe environment. For example, if dad comes home every night and sometimes he's abusive and sometimes he's not, you learn as a child to read his emotions and his energy and his presence so you can adapt yourself so that you can be safe. Children require safety, right? They need to feel accepted and loved to survive. Growing up, we don't need to feel accepted and loved because we're adults. But the inner child has to feel accepted and loved. So empathy is an adaptation. It is a skill that we develop so that we can prepare ourselves for how our parents or how our caregivers are entering the space. Because if we learn how to chill out when dad comes in and he's in a mood, if we learn to chill out, we then protect ourselves. But if he comes in happy go lucky, then we can meet that energy, right? And so we learn how to shape shift to meet our environment and to ultimately feel safe and survive. So that's a piece here. And this is about understanding yourself, knowing thyself. That is truly why we're here, is to awaken. So, one piece is the gift of empathy, the gift of attuning, of feeling into somebody. Now, this can ruin us. This can make us go insane if we don't have the proper internal boundaries. We need a physical lock on our door to our house, and we need spiritual boundaries. So, I have a totally free bundle, an energy healing and protection bundle. It's got 2 guided meditations. It's got a PDF training on how to close your field so that you don't take on energy. So make sure you have that. Hundreds of people have used that and it's really, really served them. And I do this practice every day to make sure I am not bleeding into the world. So I want you to not just hear this, but practice it. So go grab that free download and start today. Notice the difference and let me know if you're open to it, how you feel when you go through that practice of securing your energetic field. So we have that childhood piece. I'm different. I feel very deeply. I'm the black sheep of the family. I don't feel understood at a soul level. I feel like I'm on an island. I feel like nobody attunes to me. I'm attuning, but I don't feel met at a soul level. This is very common. And then often, as empathic souls who have not awakened yet, we go into addiction, we go into toxic relationships. I had a 7-year addiction to pot. I went into a toxic relationship, and you go into the dark night of the soul. This is before awakening. This is when you don't know who you are yet. You don't have an identity awakening of, oh my gosh, I am here for a larger purpose. Before you have that awakening, you suffer. You suffer because you're in spiritual amnesia. You forgot that you're one with God, not in a religious sense, but in a spiritual sense. You forgot who you are. This is spiritual amnesia. And this is how we have an authentic human experience, is to forget to remember. So for me, I had my first awakening in 2013 when I started yoga practice and I started studying the Upanishads and I started to learn Indian philosophy and spirituality that is over 4,000 years old. I was raised Southern Baptist. I didn't get that depth of spiritual understanding through that tradition. So I went and I studied and it changed my life forever. And I remembered, Ashley, you are a healer. Here's why you've struggled with addiction. Here's why you've struggled in this relationship, because you are a deep feeler. You're not meant to fit in. You're meant to build a new society. When I learned that, when I remembered that, all of a sudden my suffering started to fall off of me like an old worn out coat that's just heavy. I woke up to my identity, my spiritual identity. Before that, I was so lost. And I would even write in my sketchbook and journal when I was using pot, I would journal, I'm waiting, waiting, waiting for the sun to come up. I knew deep down that something big was going to happen in this lifetime. I knew that I was important, not more than others, but important. I knew that this lifetime was crucial and that I had this role on this planet. And once I remembered that, I was strengthened on the inside. The invisible internal battles started to fall away. And I had disordered eating, and that started to heal. So once a healer wakes up to who they are and begins that process, their suffering withers because it's you no longer think that you're defective and crazy when you see other empaths and healers say, yeah, I had addiction problems. Yeah, I had food problems. Yeah, I felt codependent with these things before I really embodied and remembered my identity, who I am, when I grounded my identity as a healer. So I woke up and then I went on this journey of withering to the things that weren't mine. Time passed, a couple months, and I got the strength to leave that toxic relationship. I got the strength a couple years later to leave my drug of choice. And this was a process where I stepped out of survival mode, where I regained my spiritual power. And it felt like I had been asleep since I was young. And I woke up in 2013, and it was like I woke up to who I was as a soul, and I've remembered who I was as a soul, but it was this amount of time where I really suffered, where I forgot. So, what am I? What type of soul am I? What type of soul are you? If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, you are a sensitive being with a burning desire to alleviate the suffering on this planet. You have spiritual gifts, paranormal gifts. You have a voice that was meant to speak. Maybe you have the gift of song, of music, of painting, of writing, of dancing. You have an artistic gift. I would love to hear what your artistic flavor and gift is. Are you a poet? Most often, if not all the sensitive souls and healers I meet, they have a gift for art. They express their pain and turn it into power. They paint, they write, they use that art form as alchemy. And another sign here that this is the soul that you are is that you long to reconnect with the divine. And often religion doesn't fit you. Organized religion and dogma and hierarchy don't fit you. And you start researching, and maybe you start to look up Indian wisdom or the Kabbalah or these ancient mystical paths or Hermeticism or the emerald tablets, and that door gets unlocked, Pandora's box opens, and you start exploring ancient shamanic traditions, primal spirituality, goddess worship, astrology, things that were in place to help us evolve as souls on this planet before organized religion. And maybe you're even developing a relationship with Jesus outside of organized religion and the Buddha, and you know and sense that these are masters that have come to earth to teach us and guide us, not for us to drop and follow their footsteps in a way where we idolize them and we put them above ourselves, but in a way where we actually level up and walk like they walked. The Buddha said, everyone has Buddha nature. Buddha means the awakened one. Siddhartha Gautama woke up under the Bodhi tree and became the awakened one. Christ is pure, unconditional love beyond comprehension. And he said, you can do everything I can do and more through God. So, as a healer being, let me know if this is true. You long for your creator, and you probably question the shit out of hierarchy and authority. You long for a direct relationship with love and truth on this planet today. And you may have had a hard time being on this planet. There's where the addiction comes in, right? Because you're so sensitive and there's so much evil in this world that it's really hard to stomach, right? That's why I had stomach issues, because my life was hard to stomach. And I was very privileged and still am. And because I have these gifts, I used to feel other people's pain. Just because I'm privileged and I wasn't experiencing trauma in the way that others were doesn't mean that I didn't feel it in my soul that, oh my gosh, as a human collective consciousness, there's a lot of suffering on this planet, and I came to alleviate it. And I would just cry. I would cry, especially when I would be in nature with my dad on canoe trips where I would just be floating down the river, and nature was moving through me, and I would cry because I felt the imbalance on this planet. It was really hard for me to stay on the planet before my awakening, and in some moments after too. So I want you to feel that you're not alone in that. That if it's been hard for you to ground, or you have binge eating problems, or I had that too. I had binge eating problems where I would use food to ground, because as an empathic, paranormally gifted being, I would float out of my body. And I wanted to. I didn't want to feel the weight of gravity and feel present with the light and dark on this planet because I didn't have the tools yet to process it. And so I got sick. My stomach was inflamed. I had undigested food. There's a spiritual root cause to every ailment. And of course, Western medicine couldn't understand the root cause. I'm not bashing Western medicine. They're great for trauma care and other things. But when it comes to psychosomatic illness or spiritual dis-ease, they don't get it. My shamanic teacher, Alberto Violdo, would say, if you get bit by a snake, go to the Western doctor, get anti-venom. And then go to the shaman, go to the healer to understand why you got bit in the first place. So when we talk about healing the root cause, it's a spiritual root cause, it's an invisible root cause. And having stomach issues is actually part of identity and not being able to digest life or process emotions, not having the resources or the tools or teachings to know how to process it through your body. Just like your stomach processes and digests food, it processes and digests life, emotions, and your stomach is your place of identity. The Manipura chakra in the Indian system of yoga, the Manipura chakra is the place, the seat of self, of identity. So the message here today is whatever you take from this, that is like, wow, I heard that. That's for me, right? Beneath my words is a transmission of energy. And this is here to help you remember who you are. If you're in the dark night of the soul right now and you find this video, remember who you are. You have been entrusted with a spiritual mission. You can go through this and move through it and deepen in this channel, and these teachings that I share will give you the tools to process life, to live amazing, and to embody your spiritual mission. The biggest part here is remembering who you are, that you are an infinite soul. Your soul never dies. Your soul never stepped into the river of time. Your soul never incarnated here as a body. Your soul is your soul. It's a part of you, and you have a temporal body and human experience. You are the bridge between heaven and earth. You are the mysterious embodiment of the divine. You are God's desire. You were perfectly made. When I would run to my mom and say, I'm so sad or I'm so upset, and she would say to me, Ashley, you were made. You were just made this way. You're a deep feeler. You're a deep feeler, and that's how God made you. You're not defective. You're not messed up. And when I woke up, I have since then helped hundreds of people. And the feeling of being able to meet someone in their pain and to have a wide capacity of human suffering and joy and the whole spectrum of emotions, and for people to feel safe in my presence, it is priceless. It's the most amazing feeling when I can meet my community and actually be a source of understanding in the dark. That is that place of growth where it happens underground. And that's the mystery school aspect. That's the mystic's path. It's living into the unknown. So, who are you? That's my question for you this week. Who are you as a soul? And why did you choose the parents that you chose? How is that a perfect setup for you to remember who you are? Maybe you chose parents that disowned you and didn't love you the way that you needed to be loved. And so you came in here ready to learn love. And we learn through contrast. And so maybe you opted into a family who disowned you. And so your task is to learn love because you had the contrast of not having it. There's an amazing book, The Little Soul in the Sun, that talks about this. If you say as a soul, I want to learn forgiveness, you're going to opt into hurt because that's how you learn forgiveness on this planet as a human being. So what if it was all a setup? a setup for you to wake up and to not just keep the wounds, but to transform them. My business is winged alchemy, winged, the view from the spirit world, the winged ones, the owl, the raven, the hawk, winged ones. Let me know if you feel connected to birds too. That's another sign of this type of soul. You feel connected to the higher perspective, the view from the spirit world, the view from above. And alchemy is the transformation of self, where you sit in the fire and you change. You are not meant to hold your pain. You're meant to alchemize it and bring the wisdom with you to serve others. So, who are you? And how did your upbringing set you up to awaken as the healer that you are becoming today? Thank you so much for tuning in. If you wouldn't mind, like and subscribe. If you loved this video, send it to your spiritual bestie. I'm here to help as many sensitive, empathic souls as possible. So drop a heart below. Let me know how this spoke to you, my love. And I'm very excited for next week. Stay tuned. Have a good week.